I'm this one, a Yorkshire artist based out of London, painting black and white, lots of flowers, lots of birds, things like that. The name of this one came from not being able to get a good name to stick. So I've had some terrible tag names back in the past. It's like a Yorkshire term for not remembering something or someone's name. So you'd say, oh, I'm with this one. And yeah, that was me. Guy with a forgetful name. My style is influenced by neo-traditional tattoos, a lot of American graffiti, like the LA style graffitis and things like that. Black and white illustration is all these things that I'm influenced by. And also heritage of the UK, so like flowers and birds and different animals that are from here and around the world. And yeah, I combined them all together and decided to stick with just a black and white illustrative style to create my style now. I was into graffiti for many years before I was into street art. I was a kid tagging toilets at school and just been tagging and getting your name up and things like that. There's the classic graffiti reasons. And then many years later, I came across into more street art elements into my artwork. I was living just on the outskirts of Leeds, in a small town, small little village just on the outskirts of Ilkley, which is like very small skateboarding kind of town. And there wasn't many of us that were into graffiti there. There's a few of us, probably like 8 people tops. We were all skateboarders and things like that, so we got into it through skateboarding. I came to London now in 2013. I was meant to be here for one day and came down for 1 month and then went home and realised there was not a lot happening. I'd been working in warehouses, I'd worked as a chef, I'd worked as a jack of all trades, but there wasn't much of an art community up there. And I came down to London and I was like blown away by everyone's painting. It was going crazy. So I took the risk, moved down here and moved into the 433 warehouse in Caledonian Road that no longer lives there. It no longer exists. It's been knocked down, it's now a block of flats. The work that you've seen and the style that I have now, with the black and white and everything like that, started about 7 years ago. And I wanted to be a tattoo artist. That was my idea. So I was going to become a tattoo artist. And my graffiti wasn't on the level from the people that I was hanging around with and the people I'd met in London. So I thought I'd change my style, start painting my designs as the way they were, and people would contact me to get tattoos. Nobody has ever contacted me to get tattoos. So I became a painter. And this weird little wave that started with me going to a few festivals abroad is now what I do, and I haven't tattooed for years, actually. I really enjoy bringing elements of the countryside back into the city. So you don't get, especially in London, like people say, oh, there's lots of trees around and things. There isn't. You go to cities across Europe and London is not green at all. It has some big parks, but that's it. So I like to remind people that there is wild raspberry bushes out in the countryside. And I generally paint things that my mum likes and for around my home area, because my mum lives in a beautiful area of the world. And you get all these plants and things like that, and then I try and change that when I go abroad as well, so to bring in other elements from, like when I'm out in Asia, I'll paint something that's relative to those people and things like that, and those communities, instead of, I can't paint a raspberry bush out there. But yeah, it's mainly to just bring the whole natural world back into the city and show people that it's still there. And people notice it now, and people come up to me and they're like, oh, that's a finch, I haven't seen that for so many years. And I'm like, yes, it is. A lot of the things I paint on repeat, like the swans and things like that. The swans are like my example of my form of a graffiti throw-up. So I can paint one of those within a couple of minutes and get in, get out, and paint lots of them, paint them very quick, paint them with scrap cans. I can paint them big with rollers. So yeah, they're easy to adapt to certain places, especially when you're doing something illegal and people are like, oh, he's naughty, naughty. Oh, it's a big bird. They're fine with it. Flowers, I generally go towards lilies and a few other like natural blossom flowers from the UK. The style generally picks one of those. But yeah, long neck birds are really fun to paint because they've got big long necks, so you can adapt them to different size walls. Small birds are cute, so they're fun to paint at the same time. But yeah, generally birds and flowers is just generally what I paint. Sometimes people like it, some people don't. A lot of people don't like things without colour. When you paint in colour, you're able to hide your imperfections a lot easier through using different colours. Whereas when you paint in black and white, if it's wrong, it's wrong. You can see it's wrong, but if the line work's wrong, it's wrong. If the shading's in the wrong place, it's wrong. So people generally are a lot more critical, which is interesting. But generally, it's quite good. I get a good reception pretty much everywhere I go. I've never wanted to have any meaning. Art's always got some meaning, which is great. Like it's either political, romance, or some long lost memory or something. And it's great, but I don't want mine to have a meaning. So a lot of the time I paint something, it's genuinely for the sake of painting it, and for the people that view it to create whatever they want out of it. I hope that the people that see the flowers that I paint and the birds that I paint in the areas notice that, and notice that they're generally from the area that they're in. And I hope it just becomes something in their community that they like a focal point or a meeting point. That's all I can ask for. It's only going to be there for a few years at most. So yeah, just let's hope people like it and just can create their own meaning behind it. And maybe some kid goes, I can do that. I can do it better. Go on then, do it. I'm inspired by people doing stuff. So if you're doing something and you're passionate about what you're doing, I'm probably going to get inspired by you. It might be something really weird. You might collect toilet brushes. Awesome. That's great. I want to see it. I think it's great. Yeah, so my influences change over the years, but there's so many. Anybody can do the London thing. I came here, no qualifications, kicked out of art school twice. And I came here with a daft idea that I was going to be a street artist or a tattoo artist or whatever I was going to be. So it doesn't matter what background you're from, in London you can do it. And everyone I paint with is from all over the world. There's not many London painters that I know actually. There's a few, but there's not as many as I'd expected to paint with. Like yesterday, I was the only English guy on the wall out of 7 people. Awesome, just awesome. So yeah, anybody can come here. There's people like yourself doing like these interviews. There's all the bloggers like Not Banksy Forum, London by Zappa, all those guys smashing it. London Calling blogs, turning Penge into an open air gallery. You can make it here if you want to make it. If you want to make something happen, you can do it here, which is awesome.